Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Internal Compass podcast. I'm Samuel Archambault. I'm your host, osteopath, and kinesiologist. All right, this week we're going to talk about stress management. So, if you have been following me on Instagram or on my newsletter, perhaps you have noticed that I'm starting to shift my focus a little bit more towards still pain management, but especially the link between pain and also stress. And of course, with that comes stress management. Therefore, that's what I want to start and explore a little bit more today. Why do I decide to focus a little bit more on that? Well, first and foremost, it really fascinates me. For me, understanding how stress works, how we can make it an ally, how we can go forward with this. I think that it's one of the great challenge of our times right now. I think we live in a very busy time where we get constant pressure from everywhere, and somehow I feel like most of us, more and more, we feel like stress is everywhere. So the new mission I want to, let's say, encompass is to educate people on stress and also the link uh, from stress to pain, but also how we can turn this into our own advantage. And you'll notice that, yes, stress is very, very large. Same thing for pain. There are many things that can cause pain. There are also many different things that can cause you stress. And I think that a lot of them are intertwined. So by trying to join those two together, my goal is to try to kill two birds with one stone. So in other words, try to address the two things at the same time with simple practices. Okay, so let's dive in. So my objective after today is that you have a little bit more awareness and a little bit more tools on how to approach stress in your life. And I want to start the episode by saying that if you are watching this and you feel stressed like today, that's good in a way that you are at the right place. Not necessarily that your stress is good, but that I want to say that you are at the right place. And hopefully by the end of today, you have a little bit more vision on where to go forward. So I want to change things up a little bit how I'm going to do this specific episode. And we're going to do an opposite pyramid approach. So what do I mean by that? Normally, I like to start things very large and then go and towards the more specific at the end. Today, let's switch things up. So we're going to start on what to do when you're stressed in the moment right now. And then we're going to address that a little bit larger. What can you do over a weekly basis, over a little bit longer period of time, so that those periods of very high stress, they don't come back as often. And at the end, I'm going to leave you with some questions to trigger your reflection and perhaps, hopefully, change your perception on stress, and also maybe take a step back, look at your life a little bit more in general, and you'll see that stress can be seen in very different ways. And sometimes we think that how we live our life, it's all there is, and therefore we are experiencing this stress, and we're trying very hard to fight in this moment stress. Although the tools I'm going to present you today, they're great to manage stress in the moment. I think that stress is managed when we ask the right questions. So therefore, we have also quality answers to those questions. Okay, so maybe you ask me, okay, Sam, that's all great, but right now my nervous system is completely out of whack. I feel so much stress, people, money, time pressure, like my closest relationships, my work. It doesn't matter what is stressing you right now. The first thing I want you to do is apply this one simple tool. And the goal of this tool is really to calm your nervous system. When you're stressed, you are not thinking straight. Literally, your prefrontal cortex, this part of your brain right behind your forehead that is responsible to take decisions and planning, it doesn't work as well, let's put it simply, when you're stressed, because stress kind of hijacks your brain. I don't really like the word, but hopefully you get my point that there are areas of your brain that are going to take over for your survival. when you feel stress. So in order for you to think more clearly and to take better decisions, we need to calm your nervous system. And the most potent tool for you to do that is something that you do all the time, and that is breathing. So there are no specific rules, although some studies has been testing some specific protocols, but I don't want you to get mixed up with numbers and stuff. All I want you to remember is that if you have longer exhale than your inhale, and especially those are slow and controlled, you will be able to control your nervous system. And by control, I mean to temper it down, modulate, and maybe come back to a point where, okay, you can think clearly, you're not like super excited, you don't feel so much stress, because when you're stressed, adrenaline goes up, and then you have this kind of a tunnel vision, and you're going to focus on very specific things, but you lose that capacity to look at the big picture, which is what we want to do for the step 2. So coming back at this breathing, different protocols you can use. There are some that are called the 4-4-8. So you're going to breathe in 4 seconds, hold your breath for 4 seconds, and exhale with 8 seconds. So this is quite slow. So if we do an example, you're going to breathe in through your nose, keep your breath in, and then exhale slowly through your mouth, and try to bring your lips together so that you can very slowly exhale this air. So look like this. That would be 1 repetition. As I said, don't get fixated on numbers. Those are great to start with, but if you do 2, 2, 6, if you do 5, 5, 10, whatever feels comfortable for you. If you feel like you need to gasp for your air, that's not going to help. Make sure you can repeat that from about 5, in between 5 or 8, nice slow breath. And just that is going to really slow down. And even if you can make your exhale as slow as possible, the better. But again, make sure that you can do that, and also being comfortable, right? You can do this laying down, you can do this seated. Don't be standing up like I am right now. Try to get into a comfortable position first. Another way that you can do it, if you want to try, that has been researched and has shown really potent effect on like reducing your stress levels, is this kind of a double inhale followed by an exhale. So just basically a deep breath again through your nose, and then you're going to take this little bit extra inhale, and then followed by just a slow, relaxed exhale. So it does look like this. I don't necessarily focus on numbers here. All I focus in is taking a deep breath through my nose, and then taking this little extra inhale, and then followed by a long exhale. So you see, using this very simple tools, that if you're in the moment, use this, just stop whatever you're doing. Okay, if you're driving, don't stop driving. But if you're in a safe environment, do those for 1-2 minutes. It doesn't take long. That will simply bring you down. But now, this is like a plaster over maybe a bigger wound that needs to be addressed. So how do we then allow ourselves to go to the next step? When you are more relaxed, when your nervous system is a little bit more into the parasympathetic, right, into this this state that you are going to be cognitively a little bit more apt to take more decisions. Perfect. Now is the time to use your brain and maybe ask yourself, what is causing me stress? There are different categories that can cause you stress: money, relationships, time pressure, your health. Big buckets. Probably there are more than those. Maybe work as well, 5 buckets. So probably those can be, I would say 80% of all stress can be put into those 5 categories. And for today's episode, we're not going to cover all of them. If you're curious, maybe you can put in the comments which one you would like me to address the most. But for today, and from a recent survey, small survey, which is not very representative of everybody, but just for my own small audience on Instagram, I did this survey about what's stressing people more, and really the time pressure was the one factor. So let's start with that. Let's say that for you, it is the time pressure. Okay. Then what do you want? How can you approach this, right? And the goal now is that now that you have relaxed your nervous system, you can think clearly. Use your brain to structure your day so that you don't fall into this trap of getting very stressed by time pressure. Okay, how do we do that? I'm going to tell you how I do it. Those are techniques that have been thought anywhere in the world. They don't work for everybody. So maybe you're going to try one of them and you say, that doesn't work for me. That's why I'm going to offer you some options and then you can try them and see whatever fits best. It doesn't matter which one you take. Basically, all of what you try to do is apply some type of a strategy and some type of a priority strategy. So basically, we have many different things to do. We have limited amount of time, and normally stress arrives when we try to put too many things into this short amount of time. Count me in. I do this all the time. So this episode is also for myself. So what you want to do is basically trying to decide what is going to be important. So in that same time frame, you're going to have less thing to do, and then your perception of stress is going to be way less because you don't have this pressure. Different ways to do that. First way is the blank page way. You take a piece of paper, you write everything that is on your to-do list. And I do this all the time when I feel especially overwhelmed. So many things in my head. I don't know where to start. Feel like everything is a mountain. I write everything down, every little detail, every small email to this person. I do this small thing, get the trash out, whatever it is. I write it all down. Just to have it on piece of paper is going to give you a little bit more clarity than on what to do next. Then, when you have all of those, try to put a date. Try to put a date where that task needs to be done. You'll notice that after doing this, there are probably very few things that needs to be done today or that needs to be done in this week, perhaps. And don't put like it would be nice to do it at that time. No. Put it where exactly it needs to be done. Perfect. Now you have done all that. By the way, you can stop this video, do the exercise at the same time, or just take some notes. So don't be afraid to just like stop it and watch it again. Once you have done all this, then I want you to give yourself one or two main projects that you're going to do in a day. Not necessarily in a time amount. That don't take the one thing that takes the most time. Take the one thing that is going to bring you forward in whatever you're working. In your work, is it in your relationship? Is it for spending time with your family? Whatever is more important to you, put that first. One or two things per day, not 8. Normally, priority shouldn't exist at plurals, right? We say we have priorities, but it goes against the meaning of the word, which is like the top thing, the thing with the most importance. So by now that you have not only put a date to the different things you have to do, now you can also put what is more important for you. Then you will see that, hey, maybe I do have to do only one or two things for today. Of course, you're going to do much more than one or two things today, but if you can achieve those one or two things, then you will feel like you have progressed forward on that list. So that's great. That's amazing. That's one way to do it. And then of course you can go down that list until you're done. And then guess what? If you're able to do two things and you still have time, hey, you can continue, but you don't have to feel the pressure that you have to continue to do that. And I'm telling you right now, if you think that all of those things needs to be completed today, they don't. Be true to yourself. Don't lie. Be honest. Some things, even if you postpone them, even if you don't do a video for your Instagram, even if you don't respond to that email, even if you don't have this phone call, nobody will die. Everything is going to be fine. You might have noticed that I'm talking to myself. I'm probably going to rewatch this video later for me. That's one way to do it. Another matrix I like to use is this matrix where you have a line, which is importance. So you have what is important, what is not important. And then as a column, you will have what is urgent and what is not urgent. So of course those things are going to connect. And you can do the same exercise, right? You have all of your list, then you're going to put that list into those 4 categories. Is this thing important? Yes or no? And is it urgent? Yes or no? Of course, if you do this approach, you're going to want to address what is important and what is urgent. Those are like, I need to do this right now. Perfect. Focus on that. The more you're able to clear this up, you will be able to get away from the reactive side and a little bit more into the proactive side, where after this one, you might want to go into what is important but not urgent. And after that, of course, you can do, let's say you can have a look at what you judge is non-important but urgent. So those are things that they have to do right now, but they are just kind of in the way. So that, if you can, either try to delegate it, so ask someone around if they can do this thing for you, or maybe reevaluate, is it really urgent? You can also even delete those things if they are not that important, because maybe you have just been doing them over and over again, thinking that they need to be done right now, but in reality, it's not really serving you. And needless to say, if it's not important, if it's not urgent, you can just delete that. And you just look at this list that you have put there, and then you could just say, I'm not going to do those things at all. So those are different ways that you can approach. There are millions of other ways. We can look at having a weekly planning. Maybe a last tool I can share with you is this strategy called time booking or time blocking. So again, you can take this same list. If you have your priorities, then what you can do is look at your schedule. And then instead of saying, I'm going to do this today, try to evaluate how much time that you're going to need to do this task and put it in your calendar. From 10 to 12, I'm going to do that task. If you think one task is going to take you 1 hour, add another 10 to 15%, just in case that you need a little bit more time. And if you're not done this task after you're done your block time, you switch to the next task, and then you're going to reschedule that task a little bit later. So see, there's always a way to play with things, but at least if you can put that into your calendar whenever you start your day and you have many different things to do, focus on those 2 things, and at least you know exactly, okay, I'm going to start my day, I'm going to do this. You don't have to check your calendar, check your things. No, you know exactly, okay, I open my calendar. Today, I'm going to do this from 8 to 10, this from 10 to 12, and then you just go along with your day and do those tasks and be fully immersed in doing this task. The more you can reduce distractions, the better. All right, that's all great stuff, all like productivity things, but let's go one step higher. Let's go one step larger. And maybe you have raised an eyebrow or maybe a question mark when I said, just put in priority what is most important for you. And then you said, well, how do I know what's important for me? Exactly. That's the last piece, the last part on how to manage your stress, that I want you to really take a step back at your life and look at, are you doing the right things? Are you doing the right things? And I think that that's even more important, that are you doing the things right? Because that productivity thing is all great, but what if you are putting all of your energy into something that's not really important for you? And that, my friend, is the importance of knowing yourself. Pain, stress, those things comes from a lot of misalignment, right? I repeat that all the time in my podcast, how being misaligned, right? And that podcast is going to help you or give you tools to be a little bit more aligned. It's funny how when we talk about posture and physical, physical abnormalities, we say that, oh, I am misaligned, I am disaligned, or I need to be realigned. Well, it's the same thing personally. It's the same thing in our self-growth, in our spirituality. This can go very far. But I'm sure that you know someone, if not yourself, that at some point in your life you had maybe physical pain, or clearly perhaps you felt emotional pain, and you were just not at ease. You were not at peace. There was like something irritating you, but you couldn't point what was going on. And I see that a lot in my practice, and a lot of people are not living the life that they want. And the number one reason is that they don't know what they want. They have never taken the time to really determine what are their values, what are their goals, how to live intentionally. It's really easy in today's world to just react. Something happens, we deal with it. Oh, I got a job offer, I accept. Oh, I stay in this job for 20 years, I stay in this job for 20 years. None of that is bad, like within itself. All I'm saying is, did you choose it? Did you choose it, or you just like went through the flow? I feel like this has become something very trendy. I will just go with the flow. Really, is that how you want to live your life, to just be like your all of your actions and behaviors are kind of dictated by circumstances? So if something happens that is bad outside, then you're going to feel bad. If something happens good, then you're going to feel good. I don't know about you, but I prefer much more to uh, have a bit more agency, a bit more power on how I want to live my life. And in my experience, the more you know what you want, and the more you act accordingly, the less stress that causes. Because the same amount of work in a life that where you are aligned and in a life that you are not aligned is tremendous. Just take, for example, myself. I work more now that I have my own solo practice than when I used to be in the military. Although in the military, I used to make much more money than I'm doing now. And I feel much less stressed right now, because even if I have a lot of work to do, that I have decided to do this work, and I have decided that this work represents my values and my goals, so I can always relate to that. So for that, there are no simple trick protocol for you to do. There are basically questions you need to ask. Questions like, what are your values? Questions like, what are your goals? Your goals in your relationship, in your professional life, your financial goals, your health goals. You can divide those in all those different buckets. Your lifestyle goals. There are no good or bad goals. There are only goals that works for you. If for you you want to live as a farmer and that makes you happy, fantastic. Then align your life with this. If for you you want to work working numbers in a very like fast paced environment where you work in finances, great. Do that also. If for you you want to be single or have a big family, at the end of the day, the only person who really cares is yourself, because all of that you do for you. And the more you can do that for yourself, the less you're going to create stress for yourself, and the more you're going to be able to be available for others and also create less stress for others. So see, I would argue that stress management is much more than few physiology, breathing, or productivity stuff. If you're not aligned with really how you want to live your life as a whole, and if that confuses you, you're like, Sam, I don't know what are my values. I don't know what are my goals. Start slower. What would you like to achieve in the next year? I'm sure you can look at plus 1 year from today and think, oh yeah, okay, I would like to change just about my work. If this has been like on my mind, I would like to maybe lose a few pounds, or perhaps it would make me feel better if I would renew an old relationship, if maybe I would have a bit more communication with my wife or my husband. I'm sure you can look at 1 year. So start with that. You don't have to picture your whole life anyway. Everything's going to change. I have made so many plans that never happened. But the important part, all I want to say is the important part is not the outcome. It's the direction, right? It's the azimuth. It's where the direction you decide to go. And that's much more important, because at some point, life and other things are going to help you, make your way towards that direction. But if your day to day, if you look at your day to day, and you can associate that with something bigger, something meaningful, something that has a purpose for you, not for anybody else. Don't do that for the society or ask what your parents want. Do it for yourself. What do you really want? And then do that, and then align those. And I'm telling you, if you can join your vision for the life you want to live and how you act in your day to day, then all of those tasks and stressful events and time pressure, somehow they will look a little bit less stressful. And somehow maybe the pain that you're feeling at different levels perhaps it will feel a little bit less pain and a little bit more like excitement. It's always a question of perception. So on that note, I wish that, and I hope that after today, you've learned a few things, and that perhaps you still feel stressed, and that's okay. It's not like, you're not gonna Rome hasn't been built in one day. But if you can use those tools to maybe calm your nervous system by breathing, then maybe plan yourself in the next week or two to regain consciousness and control over your time, and then eventually start asking yourself those questions. And I'm telling you right now, they are not comfortable questions, but they are necessary ones. Because I don't know about you, but me, I want to live intentionally. We have one life, so live it to the fullest. Live the life that you want, even if that requires you to ask yourself some hard questions. I wish you a non-stressful day, and I wish you a lot of peace. And on that note, let's see each other again in 2 weeks for another episode of the Internal Compass podcast.